Welcome everyone to the Vernon Selectboard meeting of March 21st, 2011. If you could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, do we have any public comment tonight?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Fairman.
what news from Miller and Smith, our lobbyists in Montpelier?
I did receive, I wouldn't say a package, but a fairly thick envelope that I am right now going through, and I'm categorizing it, and I'm going to put it in a notebook that will be available at the town clerk's office, hopefully this week.
Excellent. By the way, last time I was here, I passed out a little handout about our lobbyists. I'll give to the clerk a more detailed and more deeply researched version, which I have submitted for publication in the coming issue of the Vernon newspaper. I'll deliver this to the clerk. Thank you.
I had hoped to put a blurb in the newspaper in regards to some of what they had written me, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to make the deadline.
By the way, everything that's in there is simply factual information gleaned from the Secretary of State's website. Mm-hmm. And also there's a website, Miller and Smith don't have their own website, but there's a lawyer's website called lawyers.com where they pay to be advertised. So I simply copied the information that they post there that they want us to know about that.
Yep. Well, thank you.
Deadline actually is until Friday because I'm going to be working on it all week. So
Okay.
if you want to.
Okay, so it's the 25th this month. I have a bunch of stuff I'd like to put in. Is there any further public comment? Hearing none, we will move forward with the minutes from March 7th.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Ball.
I think on the first sentence, he welcomed those present and led them in the Pledge of Allegiance. Down in the first bold area is not litigation, but mitigation statements. They're mitigating the sound if it's too high, not litigating the sound. Hopefully they'll mitigate and not litigate. Top of page 2 for Howard Fairman, make sure I get this right, is the fact is that what was left off was his intent was to have better documented accountability from the lobbyists to the select board. This whole intent, and that was not included in the minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was on the
I
wrong
have it on page 1.
Top of page. Oh, it's the way my printer printed
It's on
out.
page 1, too.
I'm sorry.
I was looking
It
like,
was
what is he talking about?
The way the printer printed out was the Howard Fairman statement.
I believe that was the intent as well. Is that correct, Mr. Fairman?
Yes.
And that was it for me.
I had on the others present, you left off Robert Spencer from the Planning Commission.
He was on my original one, I must have done.
Okay, and Annette Royden is not listed as well from the EOC. That's all I had.
The only other thing that I had was each page should have a header in here, like select board meeting with a date. Each page. Right here.
Yeah, I understand. I don't recall seeing
I don't recall either, but Sandy mentioned it to me today, and I said, well, I'll bring it up just in case. Mr. Chairman?
Ms. Howell.
I move that we accept the minutes as corrected.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the minutes of March 7th, 2011 as corrected. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Bills and warrants.
Thank you.
down there in a minute.
The top here.
Sorry, Mary. Rob listened to me, but,
I'm looking at that 400,000 one.
yeah.
Oh, there it is. It's even bigger.
He's old. I have all these. I have them all. They're not on there yet. I know that. On both. That's what bothers me.
Seems kind of frivolous.
Well, but
Because to me,
I mean, it's not wrong, but it's,
Frivolous.
it comes out of,
The preschool money that's awarded to them, the state contract that you guys
The
have.
ADM monies.
ADM, that's it. I was trying to think of Thank you.
You know, keep that stuff in my sleep.
See, this is what kills me. How can we consolidate these?
I know. Never have been. Each department just has a phone and get a bill. Just the way it's always been.
I mean, I understand the need to track by departments, but you would think that Fairpoint could do that for you based on the line and send one bill with a discount because we have X amount of lines. I mean, here you're looking at almost $800.
We've been tried before, has it not? Wasn't somebody looking into that?
Yeah, we never got anywhere.
Stinted.
Let's do one more. I don't know.
That was cream.
Both places. Don't put those there.
Should be WS.
Yeah, I got that. Did you see?
WS. WSWND.
WSWND, Wyndham Solid Waste.
Management District. I
Yes.
don't know where that C comes from.
I don't
Wyndham
either.
County,
I don't know.
maybe. Ouch, that hurts.
He'll come back afterwards. Later. Everyone's staring at you, Mr. Miller.
Tear away.
Old one we had last year, I think, or the year before. You guys had the year before.
No, this is from last year.
I have last year. That I think was before, I think. I don't know.
Oh, well.
It don't matter, I guess.
Read it, so that's
Yeah,
all that
doesn't
counts.
matter. I have so many of them.
Sure, that's three signatures. Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Miller,
I move that we pay warrants 20 SG, accounts payable, $1,104,476.63. 11S payroll, $23,099.25. 12S payroll, $11,606.31.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded that we pay warrants 20 SG, accounts payable in the amount of $1,104,476.63. 11S, payroll in the amount of $23,099.25. And 12S, payroll in the amount of $11,606.31. Is there any discussion? Hearing none? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So I understand that the IBPO we're going to still be working on getting a group together, is that right?
Yes. I have petitioned their representative for a meeting with the board, with you and Cindy, with all of the police officers, and with their representative to sort of lay down the ground rules and how the communication lines work and all of that fun stuff. And in the meantime, while we're there, we could hopefully kill two birds with one stone and iron out the specifics that are kind of not so clearly stated in the existing contract.
Okay. In the meantime, Bruce stopped up today with another request for detail and asked me if you should be approving it, since in the IBPO that's a questionable piece. So I told him yes, we had talked about that at the last meeting, and so I'm requesting that you approve the officer rate at $50 an hour with the administration fee of $20 for a total of $70. And this particular detail will begin on April 27th.
Well, I think that conversation was based on the fact that the select board are the only people authorized to sign contracts.
Right.
Now, are these figures, are they in a line with what was in the IBPO contract?
Actually, my IBPO copy states 55.
Okay.
And Bruce told me he understood it was 50, and I showed him my copy. So it would be $40 for town detail and $55 for private. It did not state an administrative fee in the IBPO contract, just the officer.
Probably an old one. Mine's an old one.
Which they should be the same, but there's the signed one.
That was on page 7 on mine.
Mine's on the back. I got one, thanks. I think I do, right?
Yeah, that's the bottom, the last paragraph, 1004 on page 7,
Yep.
stated 55.
Non-outside details, so this is a detail.
It would be for the Department of Public Safety, I believe.
Another reading. So it's $5 less. And the administration fee of $20. Now, our personnel policies were what?
It used to be
35?
20, yeah, it was 20, no, it was 45, 25 and 20. 25 per officer, and 20.
25 admin and 25 or 20?
25 for the officer, 20 was admin.
Okay, and there was a cruiser fee as well, wasn't
No,
there?
no, the 20 includes the cruiser.
All right. So now,
That hasn't been adjusted.
the stipulation is 55, or according to the IBPO contract, it's 55 for the officer.
Right.
Well,
Where-
But
for a private detail.
Page 7, Patty.
But if you look at the
Article
date,
10.
that was one of the issues, that the date is
Yes,
past the date of
yep.
the contract. So thus, the reason for that one.
What does this 2012 mean, though? Does it mean every
That's a
camp?
typo.
Yeah, and that's how it's.
Actually, I thought we already made this decision. If this was for the period of time that was from the last, between March 7th and the date of signature, we already said it was going to be in accordance with, the detail would be in accordance with the personnel policy.
Right, but this is for April.
Yeah, but this, according to this, this is not to occur until September 9th, 2012.
Right, which is outside the date of the whole contract.
So
Contract
then,
is for June.
what Mike is saying, I believe, is we should stick with what's in the personnel policy because we haven't reached that September 9th, 2012 date.
Yeah, that's why I
That's
was
what we
asking
agreed
about
on
that
at
date.
the last meeting.
And we have
Yeah.
only paid 25.
It says it
up to
here.
this
That's what it
contract.
says.
That's exactly what it says.
So be it.
So,
It's interesting.
one more thing.
Thank you.
I know that you've hired Matthew Stain as a full-time officer, but there was no mention of the step. Will he start step 1?
I thought we included that in there.
I don't
we
have
did
it
too.
in the minutes that I have.
It was based on, the recommendation was for, I remember it being a grade 3, based on
Okay,
his
step
Previous
3.
experience.
step 3, based on his previous experience, and, yeah.
Thank you. That should be noted in the minutes, if you don't mind, so that,
It's too late. Oh, it'll be in this minute.
yeah, if you could state it. Helpful if I'm to have an audit, I need to explain why
Yeah.
I pay what I do.
That was the night, that was the reorganization night, and there was no secretary, and we were all scrambling to write down what the minutes were.
I actually have it all recorded if you do need it.
Excellent.
And
No charge.
at this time, I would like to ask for an executive session. I may need 2 brief executive sessions, the first on a contractual matter.
And this is what we spoke about this afternoon.
I don't either. I gave it to, I can wing it. You could wing
Oh,
it.
you have a total form.
No, she said she could.
We would go into executive session
Oh, yeah, I
with
can.
Treasurer Sally Grasser on a
Yeah, I
personnel
can.
matter.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Howe.
I move that we go into executive session with the treasurer, Sally Brassower, on a contractual matter, the disclosure of which at this time could be detrimental to the town or individuals involved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to go into an executive session with Sally Brasser on a contractual matter. The disclosure of at this time may be detrimental to the town and/or the individuals involved. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye. I'll get the door.
I'll get the sword.
Okay.
I'm staying right here.
You guys all heard, we got the license, right?
Yes, I did hear. But is the state going to fight it?
Nah, I doubt it.
Yeah.
I have a whole scenario.
I mean, I can't get over, I was going to say during public thing, I can't get over the work that these, I call them heroes because they stayed right there and they worked at that plant and those reactors, and they worked and they worked and they worked. Never mind about their own selves. They worried about the selves, the other people, and I just, I'm in awe of their.
I think that is incredible, and I
Yes,
don't want to
it-
take anything away from them, but it also goes to show that the media has blown this so far out.
Yes, I absolutely agree with that one.
All right, we went into executive session at 7:15, came out at 7:40, no action taken. Let's move on to the fire department.
Good evening.
Good
Mr.
evening.
Andrews, thank you for your patience.
I'll be briefer.
Oh, good.
Famous last words. questions.
I'm holding you
But I
to
thought I
it.
didn't want to jinx myself. so.
Hi, David.
The first thing I've got for you, if you will, is the latest update on the bids for the bathroom and the kitchen at the firehouse. To go back, remember, we had the original bids put out, and when the numbers came in, they were pretty high. So we took the task of going back and reducing the scope a little bit, see what we can cut out to make sure that we have all the funds that we need to get this done. Specifically, what we did was the original scope, remember, we had 2 bathrooms, we still have 2 bathrooms in the scope. But the ADA bathroom had a shower in it, which was an ADA shower, which of course adds all kinds of additional costs and issues. That shower is gone. That also reduced scope because with the doors, we're going to cut 2 new doors into the cinder block and seal up the other ones. That we're going to use the existing door openings, just cut them open a little wider, so that reduced. We had some old fixtures from the basement bathrooms downstairs which are not usable. We were going to have them demo that. We've taken that off scope, we can demo that. And then the walls, we'll paint the walls, prep and prime the walls. The last thing was the exhaust hood. We had into the bid spec to install the electrical and put the hood up for the stove. Well, the stove is not going to be one of these huge stoves like we have now. Brian Johnson doesn't require it to be vented outside. We may decide at some point later on to put one on, but for now we've taken that off scope. Based upon that, we met with the bidders who'd expressed an interest, rewalked the materials down, had them come up with new bids for it, and asked them if they could get them in so that we could meet tonight and move this thing forward. To that end, we had, there's 2 parts of this. One is the bids and where they are, and the other is where the money comes from. But the bids that we came up with, there was 3. The first came in at $37,919. The second was $38,539. And the third was $32,190. So the low bid is $32,190. Now, compared to the low bid from the first round, that's a decrease of $9,645. Significant drop. That makes it doable. That low bid, by the way, is by Renault Brothers. The funding sources is multiple. First, we've got the monies for the kitchen article from last year's town meeting. And then there was, that was $18,000. There was $7,500 from the bathroom article. And we also have monies that we've set aside in our operating budget, and the difference being made up by the Vernon Fire Association in the form of a grant to the town. Those funds all totaled come out to $44,500. We take the expense side of it, the Renault bid of $32,190. We add $5,310 for appliances, paint, the overhead lights and miscellaneous costs, and $7,000 for cabinets, and that comes out with $44,500. So you've got $18,000 from the kitchen article, $7,500 from the bathroom article, $7,000 from the operating budget, and the Vernon Fire Association has granted us $12,000. So based upon that, I make the recommendation that we approve the bid from Renault for the kitchen and the bathroom at the rate of $32,190.
Where was the money from the operating budget? I mean, is that
We have $7,000.
just excess from last year?
No, that's not excess. That's this current fiscal year, and that's from the line for building repairs and maintenance.
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Howe?
I move we accept the bid as proposed for Renault Brothers for $32,190.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the bid presented by the fire department from the Renault Brothers in the amount of $32,190 for kitchen, bathroom, and
Kitchen and bathroom.
Kitchen, bathroom, that's it,
renovation. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
No, aye, yes, I was going to recluse.
Okay.
I think it's okay.
Yeah, I do too.
Second item, real quickly, April 17th is a car wash to benefit the Vernon Fire Explorers. Shameless plug.
It's a
You
little
say it
cold for a
louder.
car wash this past week.
Car wash.
It's never too cold for a car wash when it's a fundraiser.
Yeah, that's true. But I was watching those kids going,
And I'm sure you have publicity in the Vernon
We
newspaper?
have flyers being made up to go into the paper. We already
Excellent.
did one this past Saturday.
A car wash?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was a combination
I
car
missed
wash.
that completely.
Me too, I would have,
Yours washed?
The
I
third
was down there for the
Yeah,
vet clinic.
it's the
but-
third Saturday of every
Mine was up in
month
the pond.
throughout the warmer seasons. We were also down because we cleaned up the bays and everything, got all the oil up off the floor to make it safe for the dogs, because you don't want dogs looking up brake fluid or where else in there.
So I think we need to go back to that. The third Saturday of every month in the warm season, you can have a car wash? Because I don't think people in town are aware of that.
It's because we just decided that.
Oh, okay.
We're putting the
I-
flyer in the town newspaper.
Okay.
Right.
So we have another shameless plug on.
Oh, there's
the third
many
Saturday
shameless
of every
plugs.
month.
Here's the plug on top of the plug. Those monies go to the Fire Association. They're being used to purchase the new round of NFPA and ANSI-approved turnout gear for the Explorers. It's not the big, heavy, bulky stuff. It's the lighter weight. It's not for interior structural attack, and it has lots of retroreflective marking on it, so they're much higher visibility than even the regular firefighters.
How is the Explorer, what are the numbers?
We have 5 right now. One set of gear, the tops and bottoms, runs about $500. You're about $800 when you finish with the helmet, the boots, the gloves, the flash hood, and so on. So, you know, it's one thing to hit the town up for funds to make sure the Bobby's properly outfitted or the Mike's properly outfitted. It's a whole separate thing to be hitting up the funds for the Explorers to be
why are
outfitted.
they outfitted like that? I mean, why do they need such an expensive thing? They don't get near the fire.
They can certainly help, but they can work with brush fires, they can do ground support at regular fires, they can be helping direct traffic. There's a lot of functions that they do, not the least of which is training, for which they need to have protective gear. And to go out and spend $1,600 for a set of adult structural fire gear that's sized smaller for the Explorers, that's just not proven. So we're outfitting them and trying to do it without it costing the town.
Are you going to encourage the board members to come down and see the station before the kitchen and the bathroom start?
Come early.
Why when they're starting?
Well, I'll
Tomorrow
be
morning?
notifying the winning bidder tomorrow, and they may be coming down shortly thereafter.
Wow.
But it'd probably be good to come this Wednesday, so you know it's not good because we're doing a rather significant training event. This is Governor Hunt House. This is a DVD series called The Art of Reading Smoke with Dave Dobson, who's a battalion chief from FDNY. We've invited all the surrounding departments to send representatives. It's a video presentation where they show repeated scenes of various fires in different states, and you get to read the smoke. You find out what's happening and how it's happening, what color it is, how forcefully it's coming out, and that helps you determine what's going on inside as you're doing a scene size. It's significant enough training that doing it amongst ourselves is some value, but bringing in other departments and commingling and homogenizing makes a lot more sense. So we're doing that this Wednesday at Governor Hunt. The following Wednesday, we'll be back at the station. It's a perfect time to come in. We meet at 7 o'clock. Come on in early. You can actually attend a meeting, see what's going on. And as Ms. Duvall says so well, it's a good time to see the changes that are going on because there's a lot of things that are changing at the station. The new addition is being finished up. The bays, the painting is done. The space has completely changed scope. The new cascade system is there. The old one is going out shortly. The EOC is being renovated. And then you'll see the bathroom and kitchen renovations going on. There's a lot of things happening at the fire station.
Big change.
It's also, it's a good opportunity to see how the team down there works together. It's a unique experience to see people coalescing like they never have before. It's worth seeing.
And then the Draeger trailer. Not that I...
No. You're also welcome, you can't play, but you're welcome to come Saturday, starting at 8 o'clock in the morning, to the back of the Vernon Elementary School. Again, we've got multiple departments coming. Our department is underwriting the delivery of the Vermont Fire Academy's SCBA maze. This is a tractor trailer that has for lack of a better description, a very large gerbil tube built in the back. And you start in one end and climb in and climb through. It's for confined space, for team building, for confidence building, for interior fire attack. You can start in street clothes with the doors open and eventually work all the way up to where the doors are closed. It's pitch black, it's full of smoke, artificial smoke. You're wearing your SCBA, there's loud noises going on, there's chaos and confusion. Mr. Miller had the privilege of experiencing this in the dead of winter up in Jamaica, which is really a nice way to go through it because you're not sweating. It's much better than doing it in July. But it's a very difficult thing to go through. It's mind over matter. And again, we've invited the surrounding departments to come in and participate in that along with us. It's all day.
Wow.
This is a big week. It's a long training.
It's exciting.
And that could well be followed by Sunday as we tear down the roof and the fire at the kitchen. Work the muscles. Those are the highlights. That's just 1 week of what's going on. So the service reimbursement ordinance, I hope everybody had a chance to see this.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
You haven't read it? I gave it to you last week. Gave it to you 2 weeks ago.
Sorry.
Good, so you have no questions. That's great.
Gone.
Yeah,
So
but you got 'em
the history
handy.
on this, as we look at Vernon, no longer in a bubble, but as it relates to the surrounding towns, we found that we are outliers in a number of ways. Two most notable differences between us and our surrounding neighbors. We are the only department in the area that does not have any kind of a pay-per-call or any kind of stipends for their firefighters. Ernest, Northfield, Hinsdale, Guilford, obviously Brattleboro and the on-call department and so on. Putney, they all have this, we don't. The second significant delta was service reimbursements, which is a means for the department and or the town to collect revenues for at-fault type events. The towns that are, if you will, fortunate enough to have I-91 or unfortunate as it may be, have this ordinance. Putney, Guilford, Berniston, Northfield also has it. I believe, I wouldn't swear to it, Hinsdale has it. They're rather generic, I hesitate to use the word boilerplate, but they're rather generic language. They're not intended to charge a homeowner $20,000 for a fire call. This is not anything like the Tennessee fire departments where you pay by subscription if you don't pay.
Your house burns.
Yeah, pay to spray, as they call it. This is not that at all. What this is intended for is to bring us in line with the surrounding departments, and it generates an additional revenue stream. And this is written right into this ordinance. The revenue stream is specifically aimed for a fund in the town that is for recruitment and retention activities. If you recall, we are in our current operating period of a 4-year Assistance to Firefighter Grant SAFER program, the Staffing for Adequate Fire and Emergency Response. That is all aimed at retention and recruitment. Part of that includes monies to fund a LOSAP, a Length of Service Award Program. That's a fixed period to get it up and running and get it front-loaded. This fund would be able to keep that running as it goes on. This is not intended for coming up with monies for the general budget or to offset the fire department budget or for boondoggles or anything else like that. This is also modeled after Brattleboro Fire Department's service reimbursement ordinance. And we've adjusted it and modified it to fit Vernon being a volunteer department, whereas Brattleboro had language in it for their paid department. So if we can, we'll go through it very quickly. The authority is granted per the state statutes that are cited. Purpose of the ordinance is to provide for the reimbursement of costs incurred by the town for emergency and non-emergency responses by the Vernon Fire Department for a number of different types of calls. There's a large section that has the definitions for the phrases in there to make sure that we're describing what we're talking about. Eligible occurrences and incidents. Following types of occurrences and incidents within the primary coverage area of the fire department are eligible for reimbursement. That includes malicious incidents, nuisance incidents, motor vehicle accidents, hazardous material incidents, non-permitted burns, permitted burns to get out of control due to negligence, wildland fires caused by negligence, special events, medical calls, and technical rescue events. Negligence shall be determined by the fire chief based on the investigation performed by the fire chief and his or her designee. Subject to the rights of appeal as described in Article 8. The rights of appeal is you folks on the select board. Enforcement lies with the fire chief. The fire chief has the authority to conduct the investigation. And then there's a section that talks about the invoicing and how the invoicing occurs and what things are actually invoiced. Section 7, application of collected fees. All collected fees will be applied to a special revenue fund administered by the town of Vernon Treasurer. These funds shall be used to offset the costs associated with firefighter recruitment and retention activities. Article 8, as I mentioned, is the appeals section. Article 9, ordinance enforced. That's the language that I believe is a requirement of the state, but I wouldn't swear to it. That says the ordinance comes into effect 60 days after you guys sign off on it. Then the last page is the fee schedule, which is pretty simple. Most of the calls there's a charge for each responding vehicle. Hazardous materials incidents, you also reimburse for consumables, because consumables for hazmat responses can be pretty pricey. Special events, reimbursement of all costs incurred, including but not limited to personnel and equipment as deemed appropriate by the fire chief. Medical calls, we're just reimbursing for supplies. We're not asking for reimbursement for people responding to medical calls. And these are only, the intent here is, and I can speak to it, there are some things that we use from a medical call that have significant costs on them. Now, depending on the medications, there is a system in place where some of these medications get replaced at no cost to us. But if they don't, we eat a significant amount of it, or we eat all of it.
Person gets transported, then, like, we can then take basically a form off the BMH and, like, just say, most of the time this stuff is wicked cheap, like aspirin or nitro. I mean, typically they're pennies, you know, I mean, literally it's like maybe $1, $1.50. Glucagon runs between $60 and $90 a shot. Glucagon is
I have a
really
problem
expensive.
with the medical in here.
But
I really do.
But at the same time, as the
I'll tell you
person
that.
gets transported, we get reimbursed by the pharmacy. If the person doesn't get transported, and there are times when we get some repeat offenders, and there's most of the people that we have in town, this doesn't happen with. But there was Guilford, for example, had one home that the husband and wife both 4 times in like a month with glucagon, and then signed off they weren't going to get transported.
And that's what this is aimed at.
Is that abuses of the system, and the fact is that, you know, and we are sensitive, and the fact is that, you know, to not bill somebody that, you know, but somebody that abuses the system because they're not taking care of themselves, and then signing off as soon as they get some sugar in them, is that if you don't have this built in, then, you know.
Now, in the event you are reimbursed.
There's no charge.
There's no
There's gonna be no
charge.
charge.
Yeah.
What happens if it's a Medicaid patient? You don't get reimbursed if you don't transport Medicaid patients.
Right.
And they're Medicaid patients because they're low income. Are you going to bill them?
Only if we're talking about glucagon that's not otherwise reimbursable. And
So
again,
is- You can finish.
there's the whole, the intent of this, as you see throughout the whole thing, the intent is not to generate a new revenue stream per se. It's to help to work in part as a deterrent. You know, we have, and we're very sensitive to it, we had, fortunately, the household moved out of town, but I believe it was 2 or 3 years ago, we had one household in town that had 22 medical calls in 1 year. It was a fifth of all of our calls, from a medical point of view, to one household. And 90% of those calls were non-transports. That's just the abuse of the system.
Now, you're not going to become like a billing organization. You're not going to go after Medicaid or anything like that. These are strictly to the calls. What if you get somebody that doesn't pay?
Well, it varies by town. In the case of Putney, they make every effort in order to collect. When it comes to Berniston, they've actually contracted out with a billing service, which of course takes a percentage of the revenues coming in. We have to take each one on a case by case, and I can bring one up that happened within the last 2 weeks in town, a blatant illegal burn, where the individual had, in the back of the house, had started a tire, 4 pieces of living room furniture, the carpeting,
Couches.
couches, the wire, plastic, motor oil, and then had a 12-pack of beer and went inside and went to sleep and left the fire burning unattended. You don't spray 50 gallons of water and put out a fire like that, and it was 500 feet off in the woods in the middle of the night. This is a significant response. That should be a billable response. Now, to answer your question, what happens if in a case like that the person just chooses not to pay, just ignores the bill? We have to address that as whether or not we're talking about putting a lien on the property or trying a civil action against them or what have you. But we need that deterrent that you're going to have a significant financial cost if you do something this negligent. We had, this last year, summer of 2010, from a brush fire season, I believe we had, believe it or not, 2 brush fires in town, and both were very minor. That's like an all-time low. The year before, we had at least 8 or 9 that were either controlled burns that by negligence got out of control or were totally illegal to begin with. And again, there's no deterrent.
Now, isn't that a sort of criminal offense? Are there any criminal actions being taken by these illegal burns?
No.
Should there be?
That's kind of outside my purview here. Should we have criminal law changed for
But
burning activities?
I mean, there's nothing on the books that prohibits people from doing this.
It's a civil offense. It's not a criminal matter.
Okay. Not to change the subject, you mentioned special events. What constitutes a special event?
Special event.
Or is that in the glossary that I glazed over?
Yeah, a special event shall mean those non-emergency events that occur within a town requiring the presence of emergency personnel and/or permitting by the town as required by town ordinance, Vermont Division of Fire Safety, the fire department, or as requested by the owner of the involved property or event.
That doesn't include the town, however.
No, if the
Like-
town is having fireworks, then that's,
Right.
the town is having fireworks. If we have a concert going on in town by the Wicked Yellow Rock Band, and they're going to have a bunch of fireworks, and the select board says, well, as part of your having this, you need to have additional fire protection by way of a fire detail, now you're involved.
So name a specific time where something like that would, because the only thing I can think of is the fireworks. I mean, what public event would...
People will have large brush burns and they feel uncomfortable with it, and so they may say, hey, can the fire department come up and do a standby? And it would be right there. And as far as it provides a standardized billing format for that. Because some people don't have a large enough property, and you say it has to be more than 100 feet, or more than 100 feet away from the house, and it's like, they can't meet all the requirements for a normal burn, but they really want to have their brush burn, so then we can basically come in and manage the brush burn.
Somebody wants to come in and have a very large wedding, and they put up a tent, and they have to get a permit for the tent. And the state fire people say, well, you got to have fire personnel standing by because of the tent. These aren't
Saying-
frequent occurrences by any means that will be happening here.
Does this include pool fills?
No.
That's separate.
Yeah, pool fills are a public service, they're a fundraiser. They're revenue
People already
stream.
pay for pool bills.
Right.
And moving forward, it would be, is that, is, if anything, is to have it looked at by town council to make sure that the wording is appropriate, for us, and that, that Richard feels good about, he may have to defend this. So, to have him look at it as well and see what recommendations. I don't think that Dave's not looking to get approval simply because we have to get Richard to look at it, then we have to warn it for 30 days for the meeting to have the town people that can come in and then review it and then provide comments to it. And then once that meeting is done, then we would adopt it, and then 60 days later that it would become law.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay.
I wouldn't have voted for something like this tonight anyway without time, and we don't even have our own copies of it, so without time to
Yeah.
look at it
I
and
passed them
talk
out
to other
everybody.
towns.
Yeah, you got
Two
them
weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. He passed
didn't
them. He passed them to all of us.
You know what, I don't have a copy of this.
Yeah, we all got them right at the meeting.
Passed it out to everybody.
I missed it too, I put it in
Yeah.
my
It
folder.
probably was in the folder.
It was in the folder, and yes.
I don't know, I just looked through everything.
But, you could talk with like Goddard or Stoughton and,
I mean, I'm familiar with what happens on the highway and stuff, but that's the highway, that's different, I mean, Guilford has the luxury of having a highway that they patrol.
I don't
Injury or
think this
occurs,
is-
but how is the highway different from the town road?
I don't see this as being enacted very often. And the other thing that we wanted to make sure is that rescue, as far as Brad Fire, is that by having an ordinance like that and making sure that the wording is appropriate, then Brad Fire, they have an extended, extrication.
How is it?
Was in his stomach.
It didn't sound like it was coming from here, it sounded like it was coming from out there, and everybody's standing at the door.
So, I don't see
Stomach
it
that
happening very often, but at the same time is that, for a long protracted extrication. We had a 2-hour extrication one time in Vernon. Well, and you happen to know about that. And, luckily that turned around and was okay, but that was a long extrication with a lot of people.
So what are we going to do to move forward on this?
I say send it to the lawyer. I do have a problem with the medical, but you said that it's, because if I have to pay, we wouldn't call.
My only concern is we're not always going to be the ones here. And, to me, if you're not very careful in how you put ordinances in like this, they can be manipulated. And I don't mean any offense to anybody who's here right now, but, we've all been around long enough to know that, how many things have we been reading in the past couple of days from the past 100 and 200 years? And,
Exactly.
we just had that conversation before the select board meeting started, is, 50
This
years
is-
from now, if somebody's going to sit around going, those jerks, why'd they do that? And that's-
This is chapter 20 of the Brattleboro town ordinances. This is Brattleboro's ordinance.
But I've never wanted to be like Brattleboro. Just want to let you know that.
This has been fully vetted, it's been exercised for a number of years in Brattleboro, and there's been no events up there. And that's from Chief Pricassi.
I just want to say publicly here that I want to be just like Dave.
I don't ever want to be like Brattleboro. We're burning, we're different.
Okay, so we're going to send this to Richard?
I say yes.
I might suggest, too, that we check with Vermont League of Cities and Town, too, and see. Well, I guess you've probably already done that, because you've got information from Brattleboro and...
Not being on the select board, we don't have the liberties of communicating with the LCT directly.
Dave had a big folder, and that had a lot of the different, the ordinances from the neighboring towns, but it also talked about the pros and cons, because it's really interesting, a lot of people do not like these type of ordinances.
They don't like the concept of the ordinances.
Right. And in that, but in this case is that with the malicious people doing the wrong thing, they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. If you have somebody driving down the road and they have an accident, and they basically weren't drinking and driving, or they were doing everything that they needed to be doing, and they were doing it the right way, and it was the stars lined up and they had an accident, they're not going to get charged.
I know, but it seems to, that the good people are getting, hit when, when there's just a handful of people that abuse the system.
It's quite the opposite, is that the good people are not being hit. Is that right now, when we have a medical call for motor vehicle accident from someone who is DUI, the good people of the town are footing that bill.
That's very true, I
And that
understand
should not be.
Right, very, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
But I've also had medical calls at my house where we didn't take the ride to rescue either. But the medical call was, absolutely
And-
called
and-
for.
And unless there was significant expensive medications, there'd be no charge either.
Yeah, I don't remember that, but, okay.
Yeah, but in the case of a diabetic, that, that's why you get the call to begin with, and the medicine is significantly costly.
Again, it's not a diabetic call. It's those small numbers of diabetic calls that require the use of glucogen, which is very small. I have yet, from all the calls that I've been on in this town as an EMT, I have yet to see it administered. We're not talking...
Done it a couple times. And the other thing that's happened is that the district's gone to standing orders instead of having to call medical control. So it allows us to, instead of having to get somebody on the phone and waking up the doc in the middle of the night, as if it's an adult, and basically you look at this person and you start talking with them, or the family members, and you're looking at them, and it's like, this person is suffering from this. Well, now it's like you can move right into and start administering the medication.
Well, it happened at my house with my husband's sugar dropped so low that he was very close to comatose. And we had to call, but I shot right into action. And so nothing had to happen except for the fact that I just called rescue or Vernon, however, so that they were there in case he had to go. You know what I mean? But I had caught it, and,
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say that probably the majority of the diabetic calls we have in town do not result in expensive medications and do not result in transports. I'd like to point out to you Article 5, paragraph M, just as one thing, which is why I urge everybody to read this. Reimbursement of costs incurred by the town for emergency and non-emergency responses by the Vernon Fire Department shall be sought as follows. 1, occurrences and incidents shall be invoiced to both Vernon residents and non-Vernon residents, except that motor vehicle accidents shall only be invoiced to Vernon residents in circumstances where a traffic ticket or citation is issued by a police officer, or a physical arrest by a police officer or has occurred, or extrication is performed. So the intent of this is not to as you say, to hit the good people of the town. It's just the opposite, to try to insulate the good people of the town.
So, or extrication is performed, so that means an accident that may not have been the person's fault, but because you have to go extricate the...
Typically, we don't do extrication. We basically will stabilize the vehicle and we'll provide support for the extrication, but rescue and Brat Fire are doing the
Fire comes and
extrication.
does it.
Yeah. We don't have jaws.
Right.
We have the ability to
Or birds
stabilize
do.
the vehicle, but
Yeah, I brought
No,
a broken to the
tools.
one that I was at.
don't tease me.
No,
Don't tease me.
the surrounding towns that do this, okay, where do their funds go? Does it go to defray costs to the fire department, or does it go just set up a special fund like you
They
want?
typically go to pay for the pay-per-call service, to pay for the individuals, which Vernon does not have.
But what's happening is that unlike New Jersey and New York, and I think Connecticut, but I might be wrong, that those states have put into place is if, like New York, I think they give a break on property taxes. And New Jersey has a program, and I believe that one is involving like with schooling, secondary schooling, and a break on secondary schooling. The state of Vermont doesn't have a program, anything, to assist. So you turn around and your spouse is out running around doing medical calls and out 2 nights a week, 3 nights a week, and Saturdays and Wednesday nights. And you turn around and they're never around. What is going to be coming back to the family to help support the family with this commitment to the town, right? So New York, New Jersey, other states have basically done this. With the SAFER grant, with setting up the LOSAP, the Length of Service Award Program, is that depending on how involved the person comes in, is that there is the ability to help that person's family as far as financially over the long haul, depending on how long it takes involved. It is just one thing that basically has been put into place through the SAFER grant, and it's 4 years, right, for the SAFER grant?
That part of it is 4 years.
Yes, and that provides the seed money to start this LoSAP program. And this is one of the ways it was determined that is a way to basically fund that, to be able to have people come in and recognize them. So this is what we're proposing. So in reality, this ordinance, as the way it's written and the way it's being set up, it's twofold. One is for the ordinance, and the other one is to talk about, in a roundabout way, the LoSAP and continued funding of the LoSAP program.
There's a significant, and I can't say enough, there's a significant issue that all emergency services have, but certainly in our area, with a critical shortage of people. We used to talk of the day that we would have a medical call or a fire call and we wouldn't have a response. If you listen to the dispatch channel during the day, it is frightening with some of these towns that there's no response. Today, Vernon had a medical call, and the first people they were rescuing.
Wow, that would be a first time, wouldn't it?
It would not.
No.
We have had fire calls where we could not perform an aggressive attack until mutual aid came. The old Farm Road fire, the reason why you have 6 and 7 departments showing up for structure fires now is that's what it takes to get an aggressive attack going. So the officers of the fire department have been looking for some time as identifying the problem and coming up with what are the solutions. We're not unique, so it's nice you can go out and see what other people's research has shown will accomplish it. And the biggest issue is when we ask people why they're not volunteering for the emergency services. I don't have time. I'm just too committed with my family. I'm too old. I'm not in the area long enough. I don't have the funds. It's just going to cost me too much. So on and so on. There's all these reasons, and you've got to come up with which ones are nonsense, which ones are real, and overcome the ones that are real. In these economic times, you need to have some financial incentive to have people come in. You need carrots to get them in the door. Having a nice station is a big carrot to come in the door. Having a well-respectful group of individuals who are going to embrace you is critical to get them and keep them in the door. Providing the training to them at no cost whatsoever and reimbursing their out-of-pocket expenses is important. And then coming up with some way of reimbursing them, whether it's by way of the length of service award programs, which in my opinion are more valuable than the short term, which is the gas cards or the small stipends. These are the tricks that we have to have up our sleeve in order to get people. And these are the tricks that we're using.
Okay,
It's ugly,
yeah.
the shortage of people that we have.
So we will have VLCT review this as well as town council.
Okay. And we will be presenting you, I'll let you know when we're ready to be on the agenda, but we will be presenting a similar draft ordinance, probably 2 to 3 months maybe, which is the language that's required for the implementation of the LoSAP. Again, we have the SAFER grant. One part of the SAFER grant is $10,000 a year for 4 years to seed and front-load the SAFER grant, or the LoSAP. But we need to have the language that says these are the rules under which people are eligible, this is what the benefit is, and this is how it's calculated, this is how it's funded, and so on. So we've got the framework for that now, but we need to get it in its final state and get that approved. That needs to be on the books and approved so that we can put out the bid requests and get the vendor who's actually going to be doing the actuarial work for it so that we can approve it, get it in place, and get that funding that's sitting on the side of the feds right now waiting for us. Okay?
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.
What time was the call?
9-ish.
You know what I was thinking? If Carrie Tyler did some investigating there, we should talk to him, because we haven't had a lot of snow melt since the road's been paved, and I know there are other people on 142 who've had drainage issues. So I think that, the repaving of the road, they lifted the road up a lot and made a lot of structural changes to the road. So we should maybe talk to Kerry and see what his take is on what happened. Because, I don't understand road construction. I don't want to either.
But at the same time, when they opened up, when he said that they opened up the culvert, the water's been draining out, like, they dropped the water level significantly. That to me means is that the portion underneath the road was still intact, and it was the stuff on the private side that was not intact. So, they may come to find that when everything is said and done, it's drained.
It's in my head, it goes out my mouth, I'm sorry.
Well, no, it's just that they may find is that when there's a big piece of plastic like a kid's pool over the top of that culvert, and there's nothing wrong with the culvert that was originally there, it just got blocked, on the private side. So.
All right, we'll move on to appointments. Now, it reached a point where, due to some miscommunications, the letters were never mailed out to the people who had the existing appointments. So Chris has volunteered to contact everyone who did this last year and put a more personal touch to it than a postcard. And she has contacted pretty much everyone and has the results of who wishes to move forward.
Animal control, the police department really don't want it, or the pound keeper. If we could find somebody to do that. They will, because, if the board wants them to.
They're the first line, but
Right.
that's all going out to, well, not animal control, but pound keeper's been hired out to Wyndham.
Yeah, the Humane Society. Cemetery Committee, Mary Lynn Sherlin no longer wants to be on it. Sandy Harris, she wants to be on it. Myself, no longer wants to be on it. Arlene Huseman, no longer wants to be on it. Michael Zaluzny on the Connecticut River Joint Commission, no, he no longer wants to be on it. Conservation Committee, which is Walter Zaluzny, I was unable to contact him, but apparently he's just been come back home. So I will try to get him again. He's been away for a while. Council on Aging, Mary Lynn Sherlin, she wants to continue. David Walker for drug control, testing, yes. E91 person is David Walker and Sandy Harris, both of them, yes. Elderly assistant, all wants to be on. Emergency management, Annette Royden wants to continue. Energy coordinator, Mike Ball, says no, he does not. He has a lot to do. Farmland committee, Michael Zaluzny will stay on if Robert Miller and Chris Howe stays on, and I'm willing to stay on to that, and so isn't Bobby Miller.
It's Kai Howe.
Yeah, Kai Howe, or Chief. Fence viewers, Annette would like to stay on, and Rory Underwood will stay on. Frank Johnson is not home, so we would probably have to find somebody else to do that, and being that it's not called very often.
I'll do that. That's you. It's not called that often. The energy guy, man, I tell you, I get it every other day. I'm getting stuff from the energy. Seriously.
Yep.
Every other day, easily.
Finance committee.
I got one today I need to talk to you about.
Finance committee is Elaine Howard, Mary Lynn Sherlin, Sheldon Shippey, Linda Starpinski. Those four want to remain on. Shane Shippey, no.
Oh, that's too bad.
No, Sheldon will be there. Shane,
Oh, I've got him confused again.
You are on.
Well, I'm sorry, Shane's not good either. Sheldon was absolutely
He is
awesome.
fantastic, he is.
He was fantastic.
yeah,
Well, he has a good presence, too.
yeah. And Martin Langeveld, He apparently was on it last year and wants to continue as well. Fire chief, we already done that, so that would be David. Fire warden is Ray Capon. Walter Zaluzny, no longer, and there shouldn't be Walter Capon, it should be Walter Zaluzny. And he no longer wants to be that. I put Robert Miller here only because we're still waiting on Robert Miller's okay by the state to be the deputy warden as well, right?
Yep.
Grand juror should be,
I was just going to say, do we really need to have 3, or we just rotate Bob in as the, as a...
still have to go through approval.
Well,
Right,
it
I know.
does, but I think the point of us having 3 before was because you couldn't always get a hold of the second.
Well, yeah, yeah.
So do we need 3, or do we just go with 2?
I think we just stay with 2.
I mean, we've had 2 for a long period of time, and that would we wouldn't have to find somebody then to...
Well, I'm going to have to send new paperwork in to remove Walter. I'll ask him.
Okay. Grand juror should be taken off here. We do not appoint the grand juror. The only reason why we have in the past is because nobody ran for it, but Trish Hain has, and for 2 years now, so that needs to come off of there. This is not a select board appointment. Green up, Faith Jobin. Health and safety commissioner was,
Committee, right?
committee. No.
Yeah, health and
Yes.
safety.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. That's not something that we appoint. This is, these are employees that are on that health and safety thing per VLCT, so that we have that thing. So that shouldn't be on here either, and we'll take that, once I have Sandy redo this, that'll drop off. Health officer, definitely Mark Snow wants to, and Annette Royden wants to. Inspector of wood, shingles, and lumber, she just loves that name, and that would like to stay on that.
It's another do-a-lot job.
And newspaper is myself. It used to be Linda Starpinski and then Brandy Brow. Linda Starpinski said, I talked to her, and she said she would definitely help me. She just does not want to be in charge of it anymore. So I'd like to add her back on if we could. Planning Commission is...
What about Brandy?
And Brandy, yes, definitely. Michael and Karen, or Mikey. Peter Dio has been trying for 2 years to get his name off,
Yeah.
so we will remove his name. I promised him we would. Jeffrey Dunkley absolutely wants to stay. Dale Gassett. And Steve Skibnowski, I have to say, I'm very sorry, but he does not want to be on it any longer. He cannot. He has a lot of information and is willing to share it, and but at this time, no. Robert Spencer, I did not even reach him. Did you talk to him? Oh, good. Okay. Police chief. Now, police clerk, is she a yearly appointed position, or did we actually hire her? I believe that we hired her, but I didn't know that we were going to appoint her every year.
I agree,
I think it should come off of here. Public access TV rep, Michael Quartermash, but I didn't talk to him, but I figure we could ask him tonight.
He's tough to get a hold of.
Yeah. Yes? Okay. Rec board, these are the same, and because they have term appointments, so I've left them as the same. No one's wanted to come off. I did talk to one person that's on a different committee, and I won't say his name, but he felt that unless somebody, told us, wrote us a letter that they were no longer wanted to be on it, that it kind of, felt like, maybe we shouldn't be asking them year after year. But anyway, so I left those the same. We don't do the rec director and the rec director's assistant every year either. They're hired individuals, so we need to take those off of there. Rescue Inc. Town Rep, we haven't had one for a couple of years.
Actually, I said I was going to do that until somebody else comes in and does it.
You want to continue?
Yeah,
I think we did talk about that, didn't we? I'm very sorry, yep.
it's okay. I went to the meeting on last week.
Okay. Road Commissioners, David Walker, do we really want to reappoint that guy or what?
That's not an appointment either.
Yes, it is. It is by the state statute. It is an appointment every year.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
We can think about it.
All right, can we think about it?
You'd be hard
Okay.
pressed to find anybody that wanted to.
Exactly. So, yes for David. The Secretary of the
Just
Select
wouldn't
Board.
plow me in.
You did today.
Yeah, I know you did. You
Secretary
did a
to
really
the,
good job, too.
Secretary to the Select Board is also a hired position, so that should be off of here. However, that is vacant at the time. Still want to thank Carol for coming in and doing our, she's not listening.
No, she is. You can tell.
The seniors, they have, now, that shouldn't even be on here either, so we need to take that off. All right, the tax committee, I called Patty, and we have old names on here that, and I don't know where, we have Doug Fletcher on there, and Jim Polhemus, but Patty from there was going to call the others to see if they still wanted to.
Yeah, I think I'm on the agenda for that in a little bit.
Okay, so we'll wait on that one. Let's see, town agent, that's also an elected position and should come off here. The only time we put them on here or appoint them is when nobody runs for them. Town attorney, Richard Coutant, I didn't call him, but I figured that, I don't know why we appoint them every year. Town forest supervisor and the assistant are vacant.
Well, the other thing would be is whether or not we want to do that, or since we had hired Hardy in the past, is that to, just for people to understand, as far as who we have overseeing the,
Because I didn't know, that's why I'm not.
David, do you have a comment on that?
Seth Deal do it? Isn't there something?
No, they are, yeah, they're on something else. Let me see. Oops.
No, is that because of the Recreation Department ordinance, the Recreation Department ordinance states that they're the ones that are supposed to be overseeing, opening the gate, overseeing the forest. It's, that
Right.
we have an ordinance in place.
That's what that is.
That's very specific as
Yeah.
to what, and we really, when we had that meeting a couple of years ago, that was supposed to be, they were supposed to take more upfront, and I think that
They-
probably would be a good idea to have them come in and make a presentation of how they've stepped up to take over that responsibility.
Well, we have them down as like the liaisons, not the actual forest supervisor. We have them as liaisons,
Yeah, but they're supposed to
and
be...
left that blank,
Yeah,
vacant.
They're supposed to be overseeing it, so what I think the point, though, is we shouldn't even be doing this as a select board appointment because of the way the ordinance is written.
So I can take them off, okay. All right, and then the next one is town picnic. There is no more town picnic, so it's not on here either.
You've taken these
But-
two positions off because they're hired positions.
Yes, I was going to get to that one when I got there.
Oh.
Town picnic, I took completely off because there's no committee anymore. Then the town maintenance foreman, and town office, and town office maintenance assistant. They're hired people. I don't know why they were on here, so I think they should come off as well. Town picnic comes next. Town service officer, Mary Lynn Sherlin, not on here. Mary Lynn Sherlin would like to continue. Tree warden is David Walker, Michael Quartermanch, and Annette, and Annette said absolutely she wants to stay. How about Mike, yes? Okay. Sandy did ask why there was 3, because...
You can take me off if you want.
No. She asked why there was 3, because it's probably the only one in the state, town in the state that has 1. 2, more than 2. So, but I think we did that. Why did we do that? We did that in 2008. Why was that? Do you remember? Out of the third one?
Lincoln and that were fighting over who wanted to do it.
Oh, that's what it was.
Probably.
Anyway, a van driver, the two assistants, they're hired people.
Yep.
We need to take them off there. On the Veterans Memorial Committee, Mary Lynn said it's very hard to get anybody to go. I know my husband told them a few years back that he wouldn't do it, and I don't believe that Walter probably would continue either. But I know that Bob would, but he works nights, so he can't, it's really hard for him. And Mary Lynn has suggested going during the day, but there's nobody else that really has stepped up to want to help, so.
I go by there and walk, and I had Mike basically go in and seal the stones a couple years ago because it was, the sealant had gone between it, and the ice getting in between could basically start to break the monument up. I feel pretty strongly about this, and so if there's a need on this, I would definitely,
Okay, good.
I'd be involved.
Okay.
If it's,
Yeah, all
because
right.
I'm trying to keep my eye on it anyway.
Well, I'll let Mary Lynn know, because Bobby said the same thing. If he could get it so that he could go, he would like to continue as well. Ware of Coal, Annette really, really likes that one. That's got the name, the Ware of Coal. So, yes, definitely for
That
that.
was stuff I used to do before when
The
I
WSW,
Fence viewer.
whatever,
WSWMD,
W,
Wyndham Solid Waste Management District.
WSWMD, okay?
Weapons of waste destruction.
Yes,
He's
weapons of,
good.
and Robert Spencer's
And
okay.
there's two, actually.
And who's the other one?
I'm the backup.
Okay, Mike Quartermarch. All right, and on WRC, Stephen Skipnowski, no, cannot do it.
Annette we had appointed Annette like either the year before or last year for the backup on that.
Wyndham Regional?
Yeah,
I don't recall that.
It's not on here, so.
I'll have to look at my copy.
And I didn't ask her. I can ask her if you want me to.
Because the other thing would be is to put
I
all
think
of
it's
the
important.
vacancies.
Yeah, we should definitely put all of the vacancies in the paper.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that. I definitely do that. So do you want me to call on that or not?
Yeah. If you think she's interested,
Yeah,
definitely.
okay. Yes, call on that. All right, I can call her tomorrow, or call her tonight, maybe not tonight. And that's it, in a nutshell.
Advertise for for this.
Yeah, I definitely
And
will.
then if nobody steps up,
All right,
Okay,
yep, that's it.
that was a lot of work, Chris, thank you.
Ah, you're welcome, I liked it. Got to talk to people I hadn't talked to in a long time.
So, given the time, do we want to do our liaisons tonight, or do we want to wait until the next meeting to do that?
I say leave the liaisons as so, except for where Lenny is, put Patty in for right now until we can get,
And I won't be at the next meeting because I have to go away on business.
all right.
Oh, that way we can put you in all of them.
All of them.
I always make sure there's something like that going on.
Yeah,
and you're not here.
exactly. Remember that, when you're not around, you get put in.
Seniors.
Yep.
Oh, I'd love to be liaison to the seniors. Oh, I'd love to be the liaison to the rock.
Right.
Oh, I think
I'll send you a list of what Lenny was last year. Okay, we'll skip that for
I'm fine
tonight.
with keeping one.
Okay. Let's move on to new, old, unfinished business. We'll start with David. He isn't on here, but he came in with a late request.
Oh,
And he's been sitting
I don't
there
know
so
then.
patiently.
those
Uh-oh,
late
you
requests.
Well, hopefully the first one you'll do.
mileage.
No.
I got a letter from the state saying they're
State
missing
aid.
the mileage certificate, which I know I gave that to somebody in the town office.
Goes to the town clerk.
I will go back through my stuff. The letter stated that it's got to be in by the 30th.
February, ain't it?
No, it was March 30th. I just got this letter this week.
I think that's one that's normally done before. But anyways, I got this one.
Okay.
For state reimbursement, they hand delivered it because of the
I
problem
had a
before.
copy of it. I don't know what the heck I did with it.
Money coming back from the states, $56,561.78. I just need signatures on the back. There's enough room for all
This
this.
is a mileage reimbursement?
Yeah, the state aid coming in. It also has to do with the budget and all that.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Ball.
I move that we sign the state mileage reimbursement form.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to sign the state mileage reimbursement form. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. David?
And the second thing, fire alarm. One thing we weren't ready for, then we tried to do a lot of ideas, and Brian Johnson was involved in it, state fire. We do not have a horn or strobe that's in the paint bay, and everything's in there is explosion proof, and he would like one in there. I will take this out of my budget, but it's $4,766.12.
Holy moly.
That's for the power supply, explosion-proof strobe, explosion-proof horn, and explosion-proof hardware.
Holy crap-a-nola.
Why don't we just put an igniter in?
We even talked about having one on the outside, but then he got looking into other agencies.
I
and
mean,
If VOSHA walked in, we're going to end up spending the money.
Oof,
So
I'm sorry.
Yep.
I just wanted to let you guys know, and I'm going to do it right out of my budget.
So you don't need us to vote on it?
Well,
Don't we have to waive a bid policy, or do we have to?
It's under 5.
You still have to go 3 verbal bids.
at the
they're in
same
there doing a
time,
job, though.
right,
That's
it. You start going down that road and it's in the middle of a job, you're not going to bring somebody else in to do it. think
Well, I
you
know,
have-
but
Yeah, but there's the language, it's in the bid policy, which allows us the out. for
Yes, I know.
something like this.
Gotta do it, you gotta do it.
Yep, absolutely.
But at the same time as that, I would move that, based on the fact that this is in the middle of a job, that we accept the bid from, for the intrinsically safe alarm.
Can you remember that one?
Intrinsically safe.
It's called
alarm.
intrinsically safe.
For code 3.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the bid for the intrinsically safe alarm. Is there any discussion? It
Sorry.
just rolls off your tongue.
It does, doesn't it?
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
That's it.
Thank you, David.
Thank
Sorry
you,
to make
David.
you wait for so long for that.
All I called today after the state looked at this, so
And I will go through all my stuff to find that certificate. I'll give you a holler tomorrow, but I don't believe I have it.
usually it comes in up here, and
Okay.
I'll have to work on getting that one changed.
I figured you should make a
Patty, a
motion.
couple updates from you?
Because of all the
Yeah,
things-
we didn't do the Vernon Day in the legislature because we didn't have a driver for the van. So
I wasn't
we're
trying
going
to
to
pick on
reschedule
David
that.
Okay.
And I'll make sure that when we reschedule it, we have plenty of time to announce it so townspeople who want to attend can attend. Update on the Tax Stabilization Committee. We have a call in to Skip Sansucci to see if he can do a phone meeting with us either Wednesday or Thursday of next week. I already talked to Bill Hammond, and he has agreed that he will stay on the Tax Committee, and Carol is going to stay on as our secretary, or whatever you call it, which is a whole lot more than that, but she's
So-
really kind of the right-hand man of the Tax Committee. Mike has graciously accepted serving with us, and
Mike,
Quartermine, sorry, I know, there's 85
I'm
Mikes
trying to
around.
write down here.
Yeah, Mike works at Vermont Yankee, so he can't, but Mike
Right,
Quartermine has
okay, good,
said
yep,
he
you
would.
had said that.
And I have a call in two other townspeople, and they haven't gotten back to me yet, but I don't want to say their names in case, I don't want to put people on the spot. But by next Wednesday, we'll be having a meeting. Wednesday or Thursday, we'll be having a meeting with
So that
Skip.
will, if they say okay, that will round out the whole
That will
group?
round out the whole thing, and as soon as I know for sure, as soon as we tie Skip or Skip Glenn down, I will call you and let you know. But I thought rather than to pay for them to come here, we can come to, here and have a phone conversation with them. They don't need to be
Yeah, that's a very wise choice.
No, it just
Will you
costs so
let me
much to
know
have
as
it
soon
done.
as you can on who the other two are?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Then I'll get this.
Now, if we have a third person, we have to warn all the meetings, so I think we're probably better off right now just having two, right? I mean, that's up to you guys.
Having what?
If we have a third select board person on the tax committee, we have to warn all our tax committee meetings.
Oh, that's right.
But at
It
the
would
same
be-
time is that, my thought on that before was, because I thought about this, and it was like if you have three, then you have a quorum, and then you can make official decisions, and if you only have two, you don't have a quorum, so you can kibitz and talk about it, and you don't have to worry about ever anybody saying was, listen, you had a quorum, you made formal decisions at that meeting. So if you have the, couple of the listers, and you have a couple, basically select board people, and a couple citizens, or three citizens, to make it it's good to have an odd number on the committee, and if you do that, then, you're good to go. You never have to worry about.
You confuse me, are you saying?
Yeah, exactly,
Good that we
so-
have two, or we should have three?
No, two.
Okay.
Stay away from having a quorum.
Right, and even if we
So
had
that
a
was
quorum,
simple.
I wouldn't want any subcommittee from the select board to be making decisions without it coming in front of the full select
I
board
wouldn't either.
anyway. So, even if four of us were on it, I still think it's something that should be discussed. And a lot of these discussions will probably be executive sessions, because there'll be contractual issues, but certainly I think the whole select board should be a part of.
Oh, absolutely, but the
Okay.
problem is that what ends up happening is if there's a quorum sitting on a subcommittee, is it can get really confusing, and you could have somebody coming in and saying, you guys made a decision beforehand as a quorum.
Right.
And it's like,
Yep.
why even put yourself in that
Right,
position?
exactly. I think that's it, right?
Thanks. Select Board Secretary?
We met with one individual. We haven't had any other response.
Yeah, the other three, there were three, just to fill everybody in, there were three actual responses back, and of the three, one found another job, the other one never replied to your queries.
He did,
Oh, he did
give him,
finally?
give it to his credit, he did try to get a hold of me, and then I tried to get a hold of him, and then he tried to get a hold of me, and then I tried, it just got too much.
But they've only done one official interview so far. Based on that, do we need more interviews, or?
Well, go ahead, I'll talk
Well, I
after you.
think that the person that we interviewed, she did a really nice job in the interview. Had some really good answers to the questions. She asked some good questions. And I think that she's probably going to be on the top of our list. But if we put it out one more time, and just to see what else is,
The only concern I have with that is one of the interviewees it took too long, and they dropped out. So if we put it out again, would that take too much time and have this person drop out? I mean, it's your call.
Yeah, she seemed very interested in the position.
I would be fine with
yeah.
giving her a chance.
I agree with Bobby as far as, she was very pleasant. She answered our interview questions well. We even gave her, I come up with these questions and even came up with some scenarios to give her, and we did, and she answered them extremely well. I mean, extremely well. And, but she doesn't know how towns work, the ins and outs of a town, the municipality and stuff like that, or laws and things like that, but is very willing to learn. I'd like to see it advertised again, but I'd be willing to take her. But it's only
I don't think
one.
we would be, it's not like we're settling.
You
Right.
guys are the committee. We're going to take your recommendation on what to do.
I'd like to hold it out for a couple more weeks and try again, just to get one more.
I think that
I don't know, I mean, I will
I'd like
do,
to contact her, get a feeling for what, if she we'll wait a couple more weeks.
No, there's another option. The other option is we have her come in, and, and we come in early, let's say the next, you're not going to be here, but we could have it at the next meeting, or, and have her come in, or a special meeting, and we just have her come in and talk a little bit, and just see if it's going to be a good fit.
How about if I said this, because this is how I felt right after I got done, because Bobby and I talked and we really, really liked her. I would have hired her on the spot. That's my thought. I would have, if it was up to me. But I think that she should come in and visit and everybody else know.
You're confusing me. You would have hired her on the spot, but you think we should put it out to
Well, because we only have one person. Do you know what I mean?
It would be nice to have
You know,
more, but I think that she would probably be at the top of the list.
yeah,
She
She was-
answered the questions well.
she really did.
And she's pleasant.
I think we should get her in here.
Yeah, I do too. I'll give you an example. The one question that we asked her was if there was a conflict between two members of the board.
That would never happen.
No, one member, like Mr. Ball, at the meeting, you were told to do it this way. And then I came along and said, no, you do it this way. With two conflicting things, what would you do? And she said that, she would get the two of them in there and speak to them, see which, why the difference. If not, at least it would be on the tape and, So I just thought that,
That's the real answer.
Exactly, but
Get the tape and play it back.
I knew, that's why we knew you would like that, because you say that all the time, but, I mean,
Well, see,
but this, the
has
tape,
some
it's just,
knowledge, yeah.
she was right there with that.
Well, let's, is that okay, Patty, if we do that at the next
Absolutely,
meeting?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's get her in, or we'll all come in
But this meeting is scheduled
at
for a long
6.
time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
6 o'clock next meeting to do a preliminary interview or just discussion with the
And that would-
interviewee.
Okay, you want me to call her?
Yeah, and then have her sit around and get a feel for what's going to happen.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So April
Is
4th.
that okay? All right. I just have two quick things. The WSWMD Rural Rover Day. The Wyndham Solid Waste Management District has offered to bring their rural rover program down to Vernon for the day. It would be in April, I believe, on the 16th, which would be a Saturday. Where our recycling is at the town garage, they have a big truck that they take hazardous materials for free.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh,
So
wow.
paint
that's a
cans
big-
and stuff?
Not the
That's-
cans, but the actual paint. Not latex paint, because
Oil,
that can, but
right.
oil paint, stains, all that sorts of stuff.
Can't boil off latex paint.
Oil, clean oil, medical waste, all of that hazardous stuff they will pick up for free during a 2-hour time period.
It's not narcotics.
No narcotics, they did say that.
So that can go in the paper, right?
That can go in the paper
Will
there.
you write up something like
I'll
that?
write up something.
All
They're
right.
going to do all the publicity as well.
Okay.
Because it's not just Vernon. Over the next 6 or 8 months, they're going to do all sorts of towns.
Good,
But
good.
there'll be all kinds of publicity, and it'll be a chance for us to get rid of some of our hazardous household
Yeah,
waste.
absolutely.
If the board is willing to,
Oh, absolutely.
if we're okay with that.
Yeah,
They are specifically hazmat trained, so there's no worries about anything like
The
that.
more hazmat material we get out of people's homes, the better.
much better.
So I will, with your blessing, call them tomorrow and confirm that
So
we're...
they'll send a list around to townspeople as to what they can and
Yep.
can't? Because I think it's confusing to people.
They will. There'll be a list, there'll be lots of publicity. We're going to get our own PDF files. Unfortunately, we're not going to print 1,200 to put in the paper, but we can post them around and put them up at the...
Can we have an award and basically give an award to the person that gets rid of the most hazardous materials?
I think there's a limit.
Oh,
You
sure.
can't come with 100 gallons of paint or something like that, but I'll have more details
Okay.
moving forward.
Mike, just out of curiosity, if you can't bring the They don't want the cans.
I was thinking the same thing. What do you do with the can after you dump the paint out?
I
You
think
dry it out
You
and then-
dry it out, and then it can be recycled.
Yeah.
That's why they don't want to take the cans, because the cans are recyclable after the paint is gone.
So do they have something, you dump the paint in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep,
But,
And they know which ones to put with which other ones.
right.
but when you dump the paint out, there's still some residue of the paint.
Yeah,
in
you
the
can-
That'll
can.
harden, though.
It hardens up and it dries out.
Okay, and then it can go into recycling?
I would have to get clarification on that, but I believe it can.
If it's a urethane or something along those lines, you can catalyze it, it'll harden right up.
I didn't know you could do that. I thought as long as there was any residue in the can, you couldn't put it in recycling.
BCTV. I just wanted to bring this up because BCTV has a new website, and on that website, there's a click that allows you to,
It's a direct TV, on
it's
demand.
on demand, that's what I was looking for. It's an on-demand link, and within that on-demand link, there's a section for municipal government. And now all of our select board meetings can be watched on demand on the website simply by clicking.
Oh, wow, that's exciting, isn't
It's
it?
the replay. The town meeting is out there right now. Our last meeting is out there right now. So I just know that we still haven't got the camera issue straightened out and people can't hear, but it's right on the web now.
They can sit and look at us.
Can't
So,
see or hear.
I just wanted to bring that up, that it is on-demand select board meetings, as well as Brattleboro's and several other municipalities. So it's fun to watch.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I had a couple more complaints on can't hear.
I'm working on it. I honestly, though, my conversations with them are a new camera's not going to solve that problem.
Oh, it's not. I
No.
just told somebody that that's what we were told.
Can't hear. There's something going on, because I think you said is that what we're recording, you can hear fine.
On the DVD, it's perfect. Over the air, it's not. And what they told me is they have the same problem in Brattleboro, where this house can hear perfectly. The house next door has no volume. It's something that has to do
I don't have
with
no volume.
Comcast or whomever the
Yeah, because the
provider
feed
is.
coming in, if I remember, I think you had told me, here it's okay. The DVD that they made up at BCTV, you can hear just fine. It's what's going out into the keyholes that cannot. So we spent money on, upgrading our microphones that are built into each of the tables. And as long as they're not covered or blocked, then people should be able to hear.
One more.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, but did you go on demand yet? Because the volume on demand might be perfect, and people will then be able to hear.
Yeah, I went on. You can hear.
Oh, good.
And, some people, I have my laptop hooked right up on my television. So it's not like watching it on the laptop, it's on the big screen.
Right.
But I know. Go ahead, Chris.
Oh, my God.
I love these tech.
Yes, I know,
stuff,
the
you know?
geeks, you
I know
know?
how to turn my laptop on.
I watched,
12 inch.
I do the same thing.
It is with grave regret. I have given up a position on EOC. It's personal, it's family related, and I need to start coming away from some things. That's one of them.
I'm sorry to hear that. Thank you for all the service that you have provided to the EOC.
You're still on IP1,
I understand that.
right?
Yeah.
No, I wasn't,
Yeah,
we had talked about this a little bit, and it was IP1 is different than the other stuff.
right. Because I really, really, really enjoy Disaster Land, and I don't enjoy it, I love it, but I just cannot continue. So, but I've given 2 months' notice. I'm going to stay for the 2 drills, and then I'm done.
And we had a very good drill, I thought, last
Yes,
time.
we did, absolutely.
I had 2 questions. I can't remember, did the Wyndham County Humane Society, did that get signed?
It hasn't been signed yet, but I got approval from Mary Beth.
Okay.
So I'm in the process of getting it back to them, signed and done.
And how do you want to handle the MOU?
Oh, the MOU, I forgot all about that. I sent an email out to everyone today regarding a request from Entergy about the MOU that we currently have on file with the town of Vernon. I don't know if you all got a chance to look at
The
that.
emergency management thing from Mark Gilmore?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a statement that says, in the event of, let me just read it. This letter supersedes previous letters from the town of Vernon, Vermont, dated April 29th, 1985, July 30th, 1989, and December 17th, 1998. This letter will grant you permission, you being VY, permission to use our facilities at the town office building as a personnel assembly area in the remote possibility of an accident at Vermont Yankee. It is our understanding you will not require any storage space in the building. However, if there were a need for you to utilize our facility, you would bring equipment as required with you. In light of what has happened in Japan, the NRC has asked all of the nuclear plants around the country to go over these memorandums that they have with specific towns to make sure the towns know what they're in for in the event that something was to happen. And that's what they're doing. They're just following up with us to make sure that we understand that we signed this and we're still committing to them. Is everyone okay with that?
Yep.
Can I have a motion to...
I move that we,
Well,
do we?
Do we need one?
I
No,
think it's
wait,
the
wait,
same
you're-
one that you sent us,
Yes.
the old one. I would say, yeah, I'll make the motion if you
Is
want.
that your, what
Give
we're
it to
just,
her, let her read it.
basically is that we're ratifying,
The old
ratifying.
agreement.
The old
The agreement,
There you go.
actually, there is no reason that, to
Take a vote.
change it.
Right.
Well, no, you could move that there is no reason to change that MOU.
I make a motion that we continue with the MOU that we had in place with Entergy.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to continue with the MOU that we had in place with Entergy. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm going to abstain.
Opposed? Abstentions?
One.
One. Okay. Do you want to contact them, or do you want me to?
I'll let Mark know, because any other thing is, if there's any questions, he can refer them to the on-demand functions.
You've got to ratify that, I think. Did 3 people?
We're gonna, when we hired Carol to temporarily cover us as secretary, we said that we would use the same pay that Elaine was making, which would be $13 an hour. Is everyone okay with that?
Same grade.
Same
Same
grade,
grade,
same
everything.
pay.
Yeah, okay.
And Sally just wanted us to make sure that that's what we were doing.
Well, I would move that, we ratify that the previous discussion that the Carol as acting select board secretary is at grade 4 at $13 an hour.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that as a temporary position, Carol will be acting at a grade 4 at $13 an hour. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anything else?
I hope not, because I thought of something else, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I believe, okay.
It's the same thing we all got.
Okay.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Was there any discussion?
No, it's not.
Yeah, I've got just a question. On the motion for...
Oh, hold on. I completely screwed up here.
Wait a minute.
Too late now.
I move to reconsider.
Yep. You have to,
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We're back in session.
Did
Carol?
I do that?
No.
No, I forgot Chris.
Oh.
Oh.
All I need to know is, on the motion for approving the mileage reimbursement, Mike made the motion. Who seconded that one?
I think it was Bobby Miller, wasn't it? For David. Was
We don't
either
have a David.
Bobby or
Was it
Patty?
me?
It was Patty. Was it Bobby?
Yeah, I didn't think it was me, but I thought you were pointing at me.
No, it was me. I'm pretty
You
sure.
made the motion, I need a second.
I believe it was Bob Miller.
Okay. And,
State mileage reimbursement.
No, I,
right, and
Yep.
then the accepting the bid for the intrinsically safe, no, that, I got that, Chris. I like that one. Okay, I think,
I just know because you have to use intrinsically safe radios to go into a confined space.
I guess that's it.
Okay. Chris, I apologize.
Thank you,
You've
Mr.
been so
Chairman.
quiet.
Vernon residents who are interested in applying for any of the open town positions would contact.
Any one of the select board members.
And does Hal have a list of the open positions?
yeah, I do.
You want to email it to them?
Can I get
You could email it to them.
I could email, no, well, he
No, he's
probably
writing
wants
the
it for the
article right
paper.
now.
Yeah, I can.
Can we do that after?
I can do that, if you don't mind
Sure.
sitting in with me, and I'll do it.
Anything else?
That's all I have. Now you can adjourn.
All right, thank you.
Mike, you're on.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. I'm sorry it was...